Oh my gosh! Well, we'll talk about that some other time.
We can talk about anything you want. So thank you for coming on Bridges Live, and I'm Dr. Paul. And I like to jump right into it because we have very little time and so much to do with Judge Marylin Pierre. But please introduce yourself, what and how you're running for office.
For judge.
Huh?
Unless you're speaking it into existence.
I am. So tell us what's going on. Tell us what you're doing and why, and then we'll get right into it because it's so important, especially with this new Supreme Court justice and you being in the field. There's a lot to unpack. So please introduce yourself to Bridges.
Well, thank you very much. There is a lot to unpack, and I did not mean to interrupt you, but I had to make that correction because, believe it or not, they actually the other candidates brought a temporary restraining order against me because at the early voting polls, yes, exactly. But at the early voting polls in Silver Spring, they alleged, it hasn't even been proven, they alleged that one of the people passing my postcards referred to me as a judge. So therefore, I'm being sued because somebody might have said that I was a judge and not a candidate for judge. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So it has been totally crazy. So that's why I had to make that correction to make sure that, I mean, it's a frivolous lawsuit. It is a lawsuit that is being used to intimidate and harass me. And you could see how the other candidates are using the judicial system for their own personal gain. Which is crazy because we are taught that judges are supposed to have the composure and they're supposed to put their personal gains aside in order to serve the people because they're public servants. But right here, days before an election, this is what they're actually doing. It shows you the judicial temperament or lack thereof that is involved in this situation.
You know, here's the thing, what's scary in all this, it's that the public doesn't know anything. Mm-hmm. And when we as a public want to know about what it is and how to run and who to run for, what made you decide to run for this judgeship?
All right. Well, let me introduce myself. My name is Marylin Pierre, and that's why I go by Marylin for Maryland because the judges at the 4 levels of courts in the state of Maryland are all state employees. So you might say, so for instance, you have the district court for Montgomery County, the district court for Prince George's County, and other various counties, but that's still a state position. You have the circuit court for the different counties, same thing. So my motto, Marylin for Maryland, that's what I go by. It's easy for people to remember who to vote for when they get to the ballot, when they have the ballot in front of them. My name is Marylin Pierre. I have been practicing law for over 28 years. I am a former military police officer in the Army Reserve. I'm a former chair of the Montgomery County Criminal Justice Coordinating Commission, a 3-time winner of Maryland's Top 100 Women, a Leadership in Law Award winner, and numerous community service awards as well as pro bono awards. I say that because I'm very proud of those awards because I got those awards because I was serving my community when I got those awards. I got into law when I wanted to be a lawyer ever since I was 12 years old. I could tell you the date. It was July 2nd, 1978, Thurgood Marshall's 70th birthday.
Before you keep going on, my wife and we just visit Thurgood Marshall's gravesite at Arlington.
Oh, wow. Arlington is open?
Well, yes. I was able to get in.
Oh, wow. Oh, you must know people who know people who know people. I don't have people like that. So
But we were able to get in, and we were there, and we saw Ruth Gator Ginsburg's where she's going to be buried with her husband there, and they're near each other. So I had this impromptu conversation with Thurgood, because to me, civil rights is everything. People who are fighting for the rights to be a human citizen is everything. It's in my blood. I'm an activist. I get it. But I'm also an educator. I like to teach people how to live wholly and completely. And that's what I started this show with, Bridges Live, to give people information, understanding, and hopefully that puts them into an action. But go ahead. Thurgood was your inspiration.
And that's just a fascinating story, because let me keep on the straight and narrow, so that way people can follow the conversation. So yes, and I'm sorry about my voice. I'm sorry I have to keep drinking something warm with lemon in it, so that I could. We've got 2 more days of me shouting at people saying, "Vote for Marylin Pierre." So yeah, so on that day, because I heard all the things, well, not all the things, so many of the things that Thurgood Marshall and his colleagues were able to do to expand human rights, expand civil rights, just basically bring so many people into more of their human self, that I said, oh my gosh, I love to talk, I love to read, I love to argue. I know that I want to be a lawyer. So I single-mindedly worked towards achieving that goal. So I went to grade school, and then I went to John Jay College of Criminal Justice. Then I was admitted to Howard University School of Law, and I was just so happy and so thrilled. Thank you, because that's where Thurgood Marshall went to law school. So I wanted to be as close to him as possible. And I was, because while I was attending law school, he was on the Supreme Court bench still.
That's right.
And it was just such a thrill to know that I was in such close proximity to him. And then I became a lawyer. I've been practicing law now for over 28 years, and I really, really love the practice of law. I would continue practicing law because, like I said, I get a thrill out of helping people and educating people about their rights and what they can do to make their lives better and things of that sort. But then a couple of years ago, I started looking around, and I just didn't like what I saw, and I kept on questioning it, because we're told that Maryland is a very progressive state. We're told that Montgomery County is even more progressive than the rest of Maryland. So I thought I was living in this really progressive place, and so things were just not computing. Because I would go to other counties and represent my clients, and they would get some fair sentences, they would get some fair results, and I would come to Montgomery County and my clients would get slammed, and I couldn't understand why. And I live in Montgomery County, so I didn't want to see that, because it frankly made me feel unsafe. And I have a husband, great guy. I have 2 sons, so I'm a mother of Black boys. And I kept looking at them and going to work and looking at the courtrooms, and I'm like, oh. And, well, I mean, I also have a daughter, but she was younger, so I wasn't as worried about her in terms of getting involved in the criminal justice system. And then, I started paying closer attention, and the more I paid attention, the more difficult it became for me to keep quiet. So I started asking questions. I asked the state's attorney, why is it that only, Black boys seem to be in this courtroom, young Black men who look like my sons? Why are they the only ones in this courtroom getting prosecuted? And he's like, well, socioeconomic factors, neighborhoods, the police being in certain neighborhoods. And I'm like, well, that's not good enough, because crimes occur in other places as well.
Right.
I got the reputation for challenging the powers that be. And I said, you know what, with my qualifications, I should be going on the inside, so that way I can help, at a higher level. And basically get on the inside, educate people, and make them understand that, or even if they don't understand, make them rule in a way or see some of what's going on, so that way there could be less, things could be more equally applied for the people that I was concerned about. Right. So anyway, so I applied to become a judge, and oh my God, I did not know I was such a terrible person. How dare I try, to get into a position that would actually be able to help, people that I care and I'm concerned about. I started hearing that I'm not qualified, I'm not this, I'm not that, and then I would, I'm a teacher just like you. So I looked and I said, okay, well, maybe I need more education. Why not?
Right.
More education can't hurt. And then I said, there's room for improvement. So I went and I tried to improve myself and tried to get to the position. And the harder I tried, the more qualified I became, the harder they came after me, because at that point they couldn't argue that I'm not qualified anymore.
Right.
To make a long story short, I realized that they never were going to let me in the so-called old-fashioned way. So where basically they get chosen by their friends and friends of friends, and their names go up to the governor chooses them, and then the public is just supposed to go check. There's no competition or anything else. And since I realized I didn't have friends of friends of friends, and and even if I did, well, some people told me that they could get me through if only how should I say it? If only I put some things on the back burner.
Like what?
Well, if only I could do certain things that they were asking for me to do. And I said, I'm not that kind of person. You could ask my husband. I've been married 27 years, and I've known him for like 33 and a half years. The person that I am now is the person that I am. I'm not going to, say, hey, let me cook you dinner every night while we're dating, if I'm not going to do it when we're married.
You know what? What do you say? Don't apologize for being a strong black woman. Don't ever do it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I give him room to be a strong black man, because I really think it's important for kids to see both parents being their true selves, as opposed to one who's constantly, I guess, watching for the other's feelings just to make sure that, his ego isn't hurt. I mean, he has to be strong enough to withstand his ego being hurt. I have to be strong enough to withstand my ego being hurt. So the kids could see that and say, oh, okay, I could be my true self with whatever spouse that I find when I'm of age. Right. So anyway, so I saw that wasn't going to work. And then there's another way for you to become a judge, a circuit court judge in the state of Maryland. That is, you could challenge the appointed
judge,
candidates.
Right.
And so I challenged the appointed candidates. 2 years ago, I challenged them, and I was 2% behind on the Democratic ballot. Had no money. I was out there by myself trying to cover 250 polls. And I was 2% behind. This year I challenged them, and because more people had heard about what I was trying to do and why I was trying to do it, they then decided to support me. And so in the Democratic primary, I was able to get more votes than two of the challengers. And oh my God, did that open up
a can of worms?
Oh my! Well, so much animosity that I'm like, I'm a lawyer. I know what the law is like. I know what my mission is, and so I'm just trying to accomplish my mission of it to help people. And then things really came out, in terms of, in terms of the bad things that were being said about me. But I didn't pay any attention. I'm taking the higher ground, and because I know that some people, they do things just to distract you. And once you're distracted from your mission, they have accomplished their goal.
That's right.
Because you're not working as hard on your mission anymore. So I decided to work on my mission. And here I am in the general. And oh my gosh, it has been such an adventure. I told you about the restraining order already.
Yeah.
They put commercials saying, saying that I'm a liar. And what else am I? Oh, yeah, they're insinuating that I have a criminal record and I cannot pass a background check, and that's why I'm doing it this way. I mean, they're just throwing everything that they can at me, and it doesn't have to be truthful, but yet they are.
You
And
know,
I will tell you why, because it's not about me personally. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Dr. Dyer.
no, well, I want to give you a break so you can take some water. But there's one more thing I want to do. I just want to give such high praise to your husband. And I want to give high praise to the family members who stick by you and friends who stick by you. Because and I've worked with candidates before, but when you run for office, it is everyone who surrounds you is in the fire zone of being attacked. And when you have friends, families who maybe they can only be one or two or many who say, you know what, Marylin, I got you. And then for your husband to be like, no matter what, girl, when you come to this house, I got you, and you can cry here. But when you're out there, you're going to be the strong woman I know you can be. Now, that takes an amazing human being, and not everyone has those human beings around them who says, I believe in you no matter what, because they're going to come for you, and they will come for you, and they have come for you. And it's up to us as human beings, as a black community, as community, to say and trust and ask the questions like, Marylin, I heard this. Is it true? And then when you speak, we hear your heart and your truth. So go ahead.
Yes, thank you very much. And you're so right, because without all the support from my husband, my children, the rest of my family, my friends, people who have the same mission that I have, I would not have been able to stand up, because they go so much after me. But enough about me, because I really, really want to talk about the mission.
Yes,
and why it is
please.
so important. So thank you very much, guys. Okay. Maryland is such a difficult place for Black people to live, and especially in Montgomery County. I told you about the anecdotal evidence that I had in reference to how harsh the punishments were in Maryland. Well, now we actually have reports that actually show in true numbers how harsh Maryland is, and especially Montgomery County. Like, for instance, in the country, there's an average of 140 children being arrested per 10,000 students.
What?
And so, well, hold on, Dr. Dyer. Hold on. Okay, so it's 140 students on the average per 10,000. 140 students per 10,000 are being arrested. That's the national average. In Maryland, it's 217 per 10,000 students. In Montgomery County, it is 322 per 10,000 students. So nationwide, it's 140. Statewide, it's 217. Montgomery County, it's 322. So talk about the school to prison pipeline, because these arrests, a lot of them are going to end up in court, and a lot of these kids are going to end up, well, being put in some sort of institution. Then let's talk about the rest of it. The Justice Policy Institute says that Maryland incarcerates a higher percentage of its young Black males than any other state in the country. I'm sorry, they didn't say. They had a report that they published November 2019. So if you Google Justice Policy Institute, November 2019, you will see the report that says, Maryland incarcerates a higher percentage of its young Black males than any other state in the country. Higher than Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia. I mean, you name the red state that you're thinking is more conservative than Maryland and more harsh than Maryland, and you will not find it, because Maryland, the progressive state that we're supposed to be, incarcerates a higher percentage of our young Black males than any other state in the country. In addition, that report talks about how while Maryland's population is 31% Black, its prison population is 70% Black, which is the largest disparity between total population and prison population. Okay, so what that basically means is that Maryland is incarcerating its Black people at a rate that is higher than any other state in the country. So, as a mother of black boys, I was extremely concerned about that. As a lawyer who got into law so that I could help people and expand their rights, I was extremely concerned about that. As someone who represents people who are being tried, and I was extremely concerned about that. I'll give you an example. I had this young man who was accused of credit card fraud. And the restaurant where he worked at couldn't prove that he was doing it. So they did this thing where they had a camera, they put $47 in a cash box. He took the money, he wasn't supposed to take it. So we went to trial. At trial, they still couldn't prove the credit card theft was him. And so they proved the $47. So I argued to the judge, hey, basically the only thing that the state proved was that my client took $47.
Right.
So, give him the consequences for stealing $47. He shouldn't have taken it. If that's the most that you could do. Well, he did not agree with me. So, for stealing $47, as was proven by the state's attorney, my client, at 18 years old, was given a 10-year sentence. And so, okay, I didn't see the reaction that I needed.
Well, you know what? First of all, I'm trying very hard to not just listen, but take notes. But I'm trying hard not to cry because I'm in pain listening to these numbers, because numbers are numbers, right?
Yes.
And
there are people behind those numbers.
Yes.
Those numbers are really, really scary. I know. See, that's why I'm sitting there watching all of this, and I said, oh my gosh, I got to do something about this. And that's exactly why I'm running for judge. I couldn't sit there and watch it anymore, and then just not do something about it, because I felt then I became part of the problem.
You're correct. You are part of the problem. We are part of this problem. And that's why I'm so happy we'll do more of this. I guarantee we'll do more of this, win, lose, or draw, because this information does not get to the community that is so going to jail. So and people say, well, it's out there. It's a public information. But first of all, we don't know how to look for it. We don't know where to look for it. And we're like thinking, I'm just trying to get my black boys home, so why should I be looking for this when we see the incarceration, we feel the incarceration. But the rate that is so high, you would think a community who cares, quote, about people would be talking about this on a Channel 4, 6, 2, and all these other, what you call, multi-million-dollar news stations that only thing they're doing is filtering in their pockets for all these. But keep going. I'm not going to get on the tangent because
no. Like I said, I agree with you. And because I live in Montgomery County, because I wanted to think that I lived in a place that was safe for my family and I kept on saying maybe I'm wrong, maybe. And I could send you the reports and all these other things. As a matter of fact, yes, I will send you the reports and all these other things, because it's really important that you yourself look at them, because, and I'm sorry, because they are sad. But it's information that we need to know, because like they said, forewarned is forearmed. So anyway, my client who was sentenced to a 10-year sentence to 10 years for stealing $47. I appealed the case, and he was out in a couple of weeks. I mean, he still had to spend a couple of weeks in prison over something as silly as that. But he's out. He's been doing really good things. And my client was actually fortunate. And the reason why I say that is because there's so many who don't get anybody fighting for them, who don't get the case appealed. And even if you don't go to prison, your life could be, well, devastated by the so-called justice system. Let me give you an example. I know this young lady who, when she was 18 years old, you're 18, you're
Yeah.
having your own for the first
Yeah.
time, you decide that you're going to do something because your parents aren't around to tell you no. So she and her friend decided that they were going to steal something just for the thrill of it, because, you're 18 and, it's thrilling to do something like that. So she stole something that was being sold for $4.99. Her friend stole something that was closer to $100. They got caught. They got charged with theft under $100. Oh, so her friend goes in front of a judge. The judge gives her probation before judgment. Look, you did something criminal. You
Right.
were stupid. Don't do it again. Go away. Go to college. Get a job. Pay some taxes, and all that kind of stuff. She, on the other hand, went in front of a judge who said, I'm going to make an example out of you because I'm tired of these University of Maryland students coming into our community and wreaking havoc. Wreaking havoc because she stole something that was on sale for $4.99. Okay. So he finds her guilty. Her lawyer did not appeal. So she still has a criminal record for stealing $4.99. She has since graduated from the University of Maryland with a degree in aviation science. So much smarter than I am. But she cannot get a job. And the reason why she cannot get a job is because she has to check the box. Do you have a criminal record?
Right.
Yes. And even though when she interviews with whatever company she interviews with,
doesn't matter.
She says to them, this is going to show up. This is what happened. I was 18. It was for $4.99. It was silly. It was stupid. I shouldn't have done it. But because she has to check the box, that's it. There's no way around it. She cannot get a job. Her friend, on the other hand, who got the probation before judgment, can get a job because her friend did not have a criminal conviction. And the only difference had to do with the two judges who heard the case. Right. So now, because she was convicted of a crime,
right,
and she has a criminal record, she cannot get it expunged. What she has to do is wait 5 years from now, when her criminal conviction would have been 10 years old. She then could ask whoever is the governor of Maryland to grant her a pardon. So that way, then she could ask for an expungement, and then she could check no on the box or something of that sort. So that means that she is at least 10 years behind her peers,
right,
in terms of getting her career started. She's never going to catch up. And all because this person wanted to make an example out of her. And so we really have got to pay a lot of attention to what's happening on the judiciary, because this could have happened to any one of our kids.
Yes.
Because, as hard as we try to teach them, sometimes it's peer pressure. Yeah, I want to do something cool. Let me do that. It's kind of thrilling. I mean,
right.
You could see the kids doing it because they want to fit in. They're away from home and they want to be accepted by their peers, and that's what happens. Yeah, so it's really, really sad, but that's what's happening to our kids. So even when they're smart and they're intelligent, they could still fall into these pitfalls that really mess up the rest of their lives.
There's so many sad issues to this, and I'm not going to talk about that because we have another time. We will make sure another time. I wanted to get you on to hear so you can speak your voice, so people can hear your voice, and so people can get out to the polls and vote, because that's the only way we're going to get this rectified, is if we take back the courts. We know what has been done across the country with this president and how many people he's put in the courts, and a lot of these judges are not. We're not talking about favoritism or favorable. We want to talk about equal justice. That's what we're talking about. We're not talking about, so if it's not equal justice, it's a misjustice. So that's what I want to say about that.
Yeah, I think it's really important that when we are looked upon, we're not looked upon as, okay, these are people who are going to fill up the beds in in the prison.
Right.
We should be looked upon as, oh, okay, this young person needs to go to college so that way this person could get a job, pay taxes, and provide nice, comfortable nursing homes for people like me when I get that age. So it's really personal to me because I want a nice, comfortable nursing home. I don't, and that comes with people paying taxes, and it does not come with working in the prison industry for 30 cents an hour.
No.
Yeah, so I am doing this for me after all, so not for anybody else.
Marylin, where do you see us going if this keeps happening? What's your foresight about if this is going the way it goes in Maryland and the other states? What's your foresight? What are you thinking?
Well, in order to keep myself centered,
yes, I know.
I cannot think about that because I have to think about stopping it right now and reversing it. Okay. Because the idea of it getting worse is inconceivable to me.
Yeah.
And if I think that way, I would think that it would be too overwhelming, and I might as well stop fighting the tide. So I have to think that there's something that I could do. There's something that people like-minded with me can do. And there is, because I think with educating the community, getting the community engaged and involved, holding people accountable for what they do to us, I think that is really what we need to work on. It's doable. We have the numbers, which is why they're packing the courts. They're packing the courts because we have the numbers. And so, therefore, the executive branch and the legislative branch is something that is not going to be something that they could control. But if they could control the courts, then they could control us for 40, 50, even more years. Because you talked a little bit about the new Supreme Court justice. Mm-hmm. You notice nobody talked about changing the law. Nobody said, we need to go back and change the law. What they talked about is the interpretation of the law.
Yeah.
And that's really what we have to work with. Because the legislature and the executive could pass any law that they want to. Well, the legislature could pass the law, the executive could sign it into law.
Right. Right.
But whoever's interpreting that law controls what that law means. So you don't have, like for instance, the 14th Amendment. It was used in Plessy versus Ferguson to define as separate but equal being constitutional.
Yes.
But in Brown versus Board of Education, it was used to say that separate but equal is not constitutional. Now, between those 80, I think it was like 87 years or something like that, not a comma was changed, not a dot was changed, nothing was changed about the wording of the law itself. It was just the interpretation.
That's it.
Yeah, exactly. Which is why the courts are so important, because the courts, they're the last decision-making authority. And I explain it to people like parents and children. You have the legislature who, I don't mean to insult anybody, but
no, a lot of people don't know civics. How about a lot of people just don't know civics, so that's okay.
Yeah, exactly. So the courts really are the parents because they have the last word as to what the other branches can do, and so therefore they are the most powerful branch. So even though they're the smallest one, because they have the last say so. They control everything, and that's what that fight over the justice being replaced was at. And we started out talking about Thurgood Marshall. I was the president of the J. Franklin Board Bar Association when I was able to get some members sworn into the Supreme Court. So we arranged ahead of time to meet with Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg because she was just so fabulous and kind and wonderful. So we're after the swearing-in ceremony, we are escorted into her chambers, and then I said to her, "Hey, when I got sworn into the Supreme Court, and I took a picture with you. That was the first time I met you. Thank you very much. You were so kind back then. but you were in different chambers. I remember this is not what it looked like. And she said, oh, yes, now I'm in Thurgood Marshall's former chambers. And I'm so happy and I'm so proud. Here's his picture on my mantle to remind me
right.
of, that this used to be his former chambers. He was a hero of mine. And I mean, she was just so kind and wonderful. And that's why behind me, you see my picture of Thurgood Marshall, because I want to make sure that I know that he's behind me all the time and he's encouraging me. And in that I'm doing the work that he would have done had he been here. So that's why I cannot think about the possibility that this is going to go any further down the road than it already has gone.
Well, I want to say thank you so much, and I want to save your voice because you have more campaigning to do tomorrow. You probably have some phone calls you got to make tonight, and I know I'm going to be out there campaigning on your behalf for the rest of the way on, like I've been telling you, because this is so important to me, so important to my family, so important to so many people, and a lot of it has a lot to do with information and understanding. And I don't think people have the information, I don't think people understand. And when you don't have those two things, how can anyone care? So, and we keep saying that people have so much apathy and so much patheticness on them, but I think it's also poetic apathy is because they get dumbed down with very little information and misinformation. So the misinformation creates this chaos where people turn away from chaos. Where I was taught as a young boy, look into the chaos because somewhere they're trying to hide a truth. So if someone's trying to create a chaos for you or try to create a chaos in an area, somewhere in there, they're trying to hide a truth that's the light for you. So thank you so much, Miss Marylin. And I know you'll win. I believe it in my heart. And if you don't win, you win with us because we need you on our side. We need you on the people's side. We need you in our courts. We need you in our lives. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you very much. And if I could have a minute to talk a little bit more about our game plan to win.
Absolutely.
Thank you. In this race, we have 5 people running for 4 positions. So, and I'm number 5 on the ballot. So I'm hoping people won't go 1, 2, 3, 4 and then move on. Yeah, because what I'm hoping that they will do is instead of voting for 4 people, they only vote for me. Now, I know it sounds like voter disenfranchisement, but it's really strategy. 3 of their people are going to get in anyway. Okay, and these 3 people were appointed by Governor Hogan.
Okay.
When Governor Hogan first got into office, one of the first things he did was build more prisons.
Yes.
And yeah, and I think you remember the controversy where he took money out of the school system to pay for the pension plan for the people who work at the private prisons that he built. Yeah.
I read about that. Yeah.
Exactly. So if you're building more prisons, you've got to fill those beds. So if you're going to appoint people, you're not going to appoint people who talk about, why is it that you incarcerating our people at such a high rate?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we have to think about strategy. The way we think about strategy is, okay, you could vote for 4 people, or you could just vote for 1. When you vote for me only, then you don't add to their numbers. So if you vote for me and 3 other people, you add to the other judges' numbers.
Uh-huh.
And when their friends vote for them, they also add to those numbers. So that means that it's possible that I come in number 5. But if you vote for me only, you add to my numbers. You don't add to their numbers. And hopefully I could get enough votes. I could get more votes than one of them. And also, what happens is because they have such a humongous advantage. Oh my gosh, it's such a huge advantage. Let's talk money-wise. As of the last filing, they had raised $445,000 to for this race.
Right.
And 95% of that money is from lawyers and law firms that are going to be appearing in front of them.
Mm-hmm.
I want to
That's important.
To think about what that means.
Right. I know what it means because it's important.
Exactly. Yeah, I raised $13,000, and 2% of that money came from lawyers who are friends of mine who didn't mind publicly supporting me.
Okay.
Because the tide is just so much that it's really, really difficult to find it. One of the reasons why I'm asking for people to vote for only me as well is because, like I said, they have such a huge advantage. They were the four who are running for judge were the Republican nominees in the primary. So the Republicans have them on their sample ballot saying, vote for these four judges. I was a nominee in the Democratic primary. They have our names down. They have the name of the person who lost the Democratic primary down. His name comes before mine because it's listed alphabetically. They don't say who won the primary. They're just saying these 5 people are running for judge. They don't say, which 4 won their primary. So you understand, like, what a huge advantage
that is.
Yeah, and that was done on purpose, and I understand that. And so, therefore, I have to work twice as hard, and we have to be strategic about our votes. So it's not voter disenfranchisement; it's strategy.
It always seems to, I know I've been hearing this. I know you've been hearing this for your whole life. We have to work twice as hard just for us to get in the room. We always, and people think we keep making these up. We keep trying to make some sympathy like, oh, you're always saying that you got to work really hard to get where you are. No, it's just a fact. It's just a fact.
Yeah. And I don't mind working hard.
No.
And I just want to get, equity for people. I mean, it really, really saddens me because I see so much potential being lost. I mean, so much potential. I do a lot of juvenile cases, and these kids are so smart. They're just, they could achieve so much. I mean, they could come up with a cure for cancer. They could come up with a car that runs on water. I mean, you understand?
I do.
I mean, they could do so much good for our society, but their potential is just taken away. And sometimes, even by the time that they get to be a young teenager, they've already given up on life because it's been so hard that fighting every single day, so that because somebody's constantly trying to beat you down, telling you that you're not good enough, giving you the impression that your life is not worth as much as someone else. It's really, really sad, and so I really, really want to fight for these kids because I want them to know that their life is just as worthwhile as anybody else's, and they could accomplish whatever their goal in life.
And we believe in them. We don't believe in them just because they're our X color kid or XY kid or this. Yes. We believe in them because we believe in our society. We believe in our community. We believe in the future. We don't believe in them just because they're this color, that religion, or this height, or that. Nope. This is ridiculous. We believe, so oh, heaven help us.
Yeah, could you imagine sitting in court and watching this day in and day out? Yeah.
No. But I have, I did, but we have to witness it because we have to be the voice for the voiceless. And it's not a corny phrase, but there are people out there that don't have a voice.
Yes, exactly. And I remind people that I'm a former military police officer. And if this threatened our public safety, I would not be making this argument. Because the numbers in Maryland, as skewed as they are towards incarcerating Black people, it's not because Maryland is such a crime-ridden state. We live in a relatively safe state. And that's what the issue is, because had we been the most crime-ridden state, it would have been been like, hey, you're out there, not doing what you're supposed to be doing. You need to be put away for our safety. But that's not what the issue is. The issue is actually, hurting our public safety. Because if you have people who believe that they're not going to get justice, then there's no reason for them to cooperate with us when we tell them that you have to follow the rules. They're like, well, why should I? No matter what happens, you're still going to come after me anyway. So I might as well do what I want now. So we have a social contract, and some people are not holding up their part of the social contract.
We should take them to court.
We will, once we've established the court that we want to.
That's right.
As opposed to what it is now.
And that we've missed that. We have missed the ball on establishing the court we wanted. And I don't know when we dropped the ball. I don't know how we dropped the ball. But I know we were never playing in the same court.
Well, I don't think we dropped the ball. I don't think... I think what has happened is because the court was designed to do certain things.
Okay.
Because when you have corporations who are out there, hoping that they could use the labor that is in the court system for their own profit, then of course they're going to encourage certain things. For instance, you have the people who are fighting for 15. Well, Starbucks, for instance, is using prison labor to make its cups and its straws. So why would they pay somebody on the outside $15 an hour when they could pay somebody, cents on the dollar to make their cups and straws for them? And also, as taxpayers, oh my God, do we get a short end of the bargain? And well, people talk about me, oh, you're so progressive, you're so liberal, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no, it's not a progressive liberal or liberal issue. It's an issue of moral justice.
Right.
And for the people who can't see that, they're like, well, I'm not a young black male. I'm not even black, so why should I care? And I said, well, as a taxpayer, you're paying $45,000 to $50,000 a year per incarcerated individual. So my client, who got a 10-year sentence for stealing $47, you would have paid almost $500,000 just to house him. Mm-hmm. Could you imagine what the state could do with that $500,000? It could pay for all these kids to attend college for free, and come up with I don't know, a cure for COVID.
But we've known that the prison's been using people in prison for free labor. It's the second slavery turn. That's all it has been. To build the railroads, to build the roads. Yeah.
Yeah. Michelle Alexander has such a powerful a video on YouTube. Michelle Alexander, the author of the New Jim Crow.
Yeah. I read the book.
Mass Incarceration in the Age of Colorblindness.
Yeah.
My favorite video of hers is the speech that she gave at the University of Chicago. I think the speech is a 2013 speech. But, I got a chance to meet her, so she's absolutely fabulous. And the speech that she gave in 2013 in reference to mass incarceration, she could give the same speech today and not change anything.
No.
And, so we really have got to wake up and do some of the work that needs to be done in order to protect the people in our community.
Can I have you on again? Promise?
Well, definitely. Anytime. It would be my pleasure.
It's my pleasure. I will talk to you later. You have a good night, and I will text you tomorrow. And I want everyone to know that please vote for Marylin Pierre for judge in Maryland. Marylin Pierre for Maryland, please. We have to start looking and making a difference, and not just in our school systems, yes, not just in our legislative, yes, but also in our courts with Maryland, people like Maryland. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Dyer. I just want to give my website, which is pierreforjudge.com, pierreforjudge.com. And also, one of the issues that we've been having is for people voting on the electronic machines.
Okay.
If you target vote or bullet vote on paper, that's not a problem because you just circle one and move on. But on the machines, what's been happening is if you vote for one person, the machine says you can't do that. But so what you have to do is you have to press X. I'm sorry, not X. Sorry, next until it gives you the next race to vote for. All the way at the end, after you've voted for everything, it will ask you again. And it will tell you that your ballot is not complete. If you press next, then it will accept the ballot and the vote will be registered only for me.
And I did that. So I knew exactly what they were saying because I hit next and it says not completed, and I was like, no, I can only vote for one person. I don't have to vote, and I hit next, and it came back up. So I was like, I looked at that machine, I was like, you got to be kidding me, right? So I did hit next, I did everything you did, and then it did exactly what you just said. I'm like, I wonder how many people know this. I don't think many people do.
They don't. I don't think many people know that. That's why we're educating people, because a lot of people have come back to us and say, oh, by the way, this is what happened. I couldn't vote for you alone because of that. So we're telling people this is what you have to do to get it done. There's a lot of work, but,
we got it.
Because of our spiritual belief,
yes.
We know that, it's a hard road, but we've got the energy. We were given the intelligence. Now we have the information. We can get it done.
We can get it done. We're going to get it done.
Yes.
We're going to get it done.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Much love. And I'm going to sign off with a prayer, please, if you don't mind.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for listening to our words. Thank you for holding your hand on Miss Marylin Pierre. Thank you for guiding her through all these storms and these wicked puzzles that she is getting to put through. Not a test for you, dear Heavenly Father. It's not a test for you. It is a test for us, so we may hold you in the highest esteem to know that our truth shall be heard. In Jesus Christ we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Dyer. It is such a pleasure to be here. Sorry we had to talk about such a difficult topic.
No.
Maybe next time we could talk about something more.
No, we need this. We need this. I've been wanting a show with an attorney or for a long time, because when all the black boys were getting shot in a rapid succession, seems like this past summer, there was things that we just don't know how to do or what to do, how to navigate. Because remember, most people don't know that the law is not about right and wrong. It's a language to be misinterpreted. So it's just like if you don't speak French, it doesn't mean that they're speaking bad against you, that you don't know what they're saying. So the law, the language is the same thing. It's an understanding of the language. And us commoners, which is what we call ourselves in the courts, doesn't know the language.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they don't want us to know it either, because then we start questioning and wondering, and they don't have answers that are adequate to respond to the questions that we have.
Thank you so much. I'd like to thank everyone for listening to Bridges Live, and we're talking with Marylin Pierre. You hope you have a great evening, and I will come back to you later in a different date. Thank you so much.